On this episode of the vlog.
So hard for me to figure out.
I definitely just feel like I'm in like test mode.
Irks me. Just okay with it not being perfect design-wise, but
And it's not super ugly. Like that's, I think, that what we're going for.
I mostly just really want to avoid, I don't think it's like, welcome to the episode where we finally figure it out. But if you stick around, by the end of this video, we're gonna have some final permanent shots of what this office looks like. No matter how many times I say, I don't know, I'm gonna get to this, or I still just can't figure this out. I don't know why this is so hard for me to figure out, but
Still don't feel sold by a lot of it.
I promise by the end, it'll all be figured out. I am so excited about this office. It's definitely not perfect yet. Like there's seriously like cord jungle down there. I really like the idea of just like having this. I don't know if this plant should be here actually. I don't know. So this side, I'm just still not sure about. In the last episode, we started to talk about design versus function, but today even more so, we're gonna talk about the decisions I've made in order to make this space functional and then also sticking to design as often as possible. I mostly just really want to avoid, I don't think it's like this yet, but I just don't want it to feel like just like a bunch of just like random things, like, huh. And a lot of the hesitation was still me getting hung up on not wanting to just push all the furniture to the outside. Framing the room with furniture is not something that I love aesthetically. I found myself doing that, and that's why I kept being like, I get that this like makes sense, but it just still kind of like irks me. And so that was a situation where design won. Then there's other situations where function won. I don't know, I'm gonna get some coffee. For a long time I was drinking my coffee black. The past 6 months I've been doing oat milk, which is just like extremely delicious. Oh, that was too much, but whatever.
As we've discussed, there's been some office rearranging, and to be honest, still don't feel sold by a lot of it. I definitely just feel like I'm in like test mode. Another day, another idea. I think I'm gonna get a standing desk. And now I'm thinking that this will be like my backdrop. And so I'm gonna focus less on like the aesthetic and the layout and the design, and I'm gonna go function. I don't have the standing desk yet, but I'm just gonna put it in the area in which I want it to go to test it out. And then I'll probably order one today. Hopefully it gets here by the weekend. Okay, I like this idea. As I finalize the space, I really divide it into 3 main sections. The desk, the shipping, the seating / shooting, like what I'm doing right now. Next was the desk. This is where the functionality won over design. So you can just like add a little point for them, the functionality team, because again, watch my last episode, I was like, I'd rather do many things than look at the back of this monitor. I don't want to like see the back of it. I'd rather face a wall than see the back of the monitor. And now the setup is exactly that of looking at the back of my monitor, and that's okay. I chose functionality over design. I'm just okay with it not being perfect design-wise. My channel is just all about updating this office now, but I don't care. It's fun. Okay, next time you see me, I will be building a standing desk. IKEA makes that so freaking easy. We're back, and we got it. Look at that light. Look at how freaking open and cool this is. I gave a point to functionality, but it technically fits my design guidelines, where I'm not just throwing the desk against the wall, where the cabinet is also against the wall and the couch is also against the wall. That would have felt anti-design. Left some space here. Not that you would need to walk here, but it just gives the feeling that it's kind of still open. And honestly, it comes with this nice like net. And so it's really not too messy back here. So technically, I'm giving a point to functionality because I'm giving up on the idea of not seeing this back of the back of this monitor. You know, if you gotta look at the back of something, it's really not that bad. But design-wise, it kind of snuck in there with like a secret half point because it's giving me space, it's giving me dimension, and like really designating that area as like my workstation. It's like the one thing, you gotta see a few cords, which really aren't that bad in the grand scheme of things, and you don't have a lot of eyesight there. So I'm okay with it. It was a perfect mix of design and function. So I just turned the lights off. I'm trying to figure out the lighting for like a working environment because it's very important. Lighting can be inspiring and also super uninspiring. So that wraps up the desk station, really just the desk itself with a nice backdrop, and eventually I'll figure out the lighting.
Let's talk about the cabinets.
I need to re-empty this whole cabinet so that I can like pivot it under here. Like maybe that makes sense. I think it makes some sense.
This is the shipping station. The cabinets, the whiteboard. It just feels like a very tactical area. Doesn't need a lot of pretty design elements. It's just about function. It's about, here's a big service to whip up these orders quickly, pack a camera bag or whatever you need. And then above it, I think it just like really complements the space to have a whiteboard. It's just an overall central space that I can design and brainstorm. The third section would be this sitting, shooting area.
This wall is very open and black, but I want to take this frame and try it there and just like visualize what it looks like to have something art on this wall.
Yes, I like this.
Don't mind this. I told myself, surely this cabinet will be the only thing that's ever there and I don't have to paint it perfectly.
And don't call me Shirley.
So I'm gonna repaint that very soon, maybe today, maybe not. And then I have this, you'll think of something, which like maybe that goes there. I also have these black shelves over here that I took down that used to be right there. I could bring them over here. I love the look when people kind of just like stack a wall and like, I love how that looks. I just like never do it. But maybe it's my turn to do it.
Ultimately, I figured out that this couch just needed to be against this black wall. I started to mess with the art up here, as you saw. And now I'm just gonna little by little find other things that make sense, but I'm in no rush. I'm gonna let the art come as it needs to, but I like the idea of having like a wall that is kind of just like splattered with art and leaving a lot of the other spaces, all these other white walls open. Right now I am, up against this wall, which a lot of times I like to have a lot of space in between me and what's behind me as like the background aesthetic. So I also think there's something classic about just like a very flat perspective where I'm very obviously close to my background. And that's kind of the point to include this in the shot, where other times I might sit further away and just have this as like a blurry background behind me. That's just like a different style. Ultimately, this is also just for sitting, for hanging out, looking at my vision board, whatever it needs to be. So this wraps up the third space, which is the sitting or shooting space.
I think this office is a good example of try something, see how it goes, iterate, try again. When I first got down here, I was all about design. I was all about aesthetic because that's really fun to me. But then once you start to live in it and you start to actually function with all the pieces, you might find that, wait a second, this actually, I could or should sacrifice the design in this scenario for the sake of function. It's funny because the reason this all started, or the readjusting of this office was because of a tripod. It was because I was thinking about getting a treadmill and I still haven't gotten it. You try things, you see how it goes. You adjust, you try again. That's life.
Now that I have the answer to how this should all lay out, I can realize and look back that the reason that it was so hard to get here was because I wasn't really clear in my own mind on what I was pursuing first. Was it design or was it function? Naturally, my brain is design. And so I went after that. Then I lived with it for a while. Then I realized I needed to squeak some function back in there and compromise on design when it made sense. And that's the final product that we have here today. A lot of design, a little bit of function, and I think it's the right mix.
This is like a very functional setup and it's not super ugly. Like that's, I think, that what we're going for. Because again, I'm spending every single day of my life down here. So yes, design is important, but also you gotta be functional. Like it's gotta feel good, it's gotta feel easy to use your things. I feel like this is the perfect little compromise.
Overall, it's just so clear and obvious to me that things can change and they always will, and that's okay. And that's freaking fun. There's gonna be another time where I make another vlog or 3 to 5 vlogs about changing my office space. It might have nothing to do with function, it just is because I want a new design. And new challenges will present themselves. If I get new pieces, if I wanna mix things up, if I wanna repaint, that is all open and something that I should always be able to do and not feel bad about. Because I don't. Because it's fun. You can try something, design the heck out of it, then use it, see if the design is worth it. Because sometimes no matter how pretty something is or how well a straight line matches up with another straight line, if it's hard for me to do what I need to do in that space, the design fades away or I don't care about it as much. I don't put it on this like pretty pedestal. I'm like, well, so we did it. We did it. We have our sections. We have a few like bonus sections, like this one shelf that I told you I was gonna sell this desk, but I haven't yet because I just don't feel like it's a huge rush. And it's technically serving the point that I want this new shelf to serve eventually. It's just holding all that other stuff that's just like a nice workstation, and there's still a lot of space here. Once I do eventually order a treadmill, hopefully. Thank you for watching and being here and just supporting me along the way as I figure this all out. Pretty soon, we are so close to getting back to vlogging like in the world. We're so close to having vlogs that don't exclusively include this basement. Remember, this is only the beginning. On the next episode, it's supposed to just continue for a long, long time, maybe into Monday now, so. Just vlogging so far. Let's put this final coat on, shall we? This freaking delicious beer. I used to be obsessed with the cucumber, and now I love the guava. It's so good. So cheers to Saturday. And then I'm gonna film this thing I need to film today. It's due today, so. Okay, take one. Well, you'll just have to wait and see. Function is not friction. Function does not equal friction.